York City. I plan on being in New York City in the near future.
President Donald Trump's border czar planning on bringing more ICE agents to New York City. How will this go with a new mayor starting in January? The director of ICE here in New York, Ken Gelano, answering the tough questions. Commissioner Jessica Tisch staying on the job, agreeing to continue her service during the Mamdani administration. Pix 11 with the exclusive interview following that announcement. And the 2026 midterm season underway. One of the biggest possible challenges, Councilman Chiose eyeing a run against Hakeem Jeffries. Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani weighs in when Pix on Politics starts right now.
This is Pix on Politics with Dan Manarino.
And welcome to Pix on Politics, everybody. I am Dan Manarino, and a busy week in local politics. We begin with a big statement from the Trump administration's border czar promising more ICE agents are coming to New York City. The move comes as the city prepares for a new mayor swearing in this January. And Mr. Mamdani not shy with his feelings about ICE operations. So today I'm speaking with the director of ICE operations here in New York, Director Ken Gelano, and he is going on the record. Hey, Mr. Gelano is joining me. Great to have you back on Pix and Politics. Good to see you.
It's good to see you again, Dan.
It's been a minute.
It's definitely been a minute, yes.
So let me start with the comments made by Mr. Homan this week. And I want to play them right now for our audience and then get your reaction.
Sure.
In New York City, I plan on being in New York City in the near future. We're going to do operations in New York City. We know in New York City, me and Mayor Adams at one point had an agreement to let ICE into Rikers Island so we can arrest the public safety threats and the safety and security of that facility, but the city council shut it down.
So what does he mean? Can you further explain what that means? More operations will be coming to New York City.
So basically, and it's funny to see that and to hear what people are saying. The operations have been in New York City. Obviously, you know, in the past, we've spoke about it, and I've worked with Mr. Homan several occasions, and he was instrumental in working with the Adams administration and trying to get us back into Rikers Island. But the majority of the work that they were doing was still on the criminal aspect with the criminal warrants and not as much as the civil immigration enforcement.
I think people hear that and they think, okay, well, yes, they are here, but are there going to be more operations than we've already seen play out?
Well, the operations have increased, obviously, with the new administration and Secretary Noem and Director Lyons. We've got additional resources. You've seen the whole of government approach. Mm-hmm. That's out in the United States now, and we have all these different law enforcement agencies with been designated with Title VIII authority. So we're out in the field with our partners from the FBI, from the DEA, from the Marshals, from HSI. So all of, and from IRS, CI, all of these people are out with us, and we're out every day in New York City and across the country. Yeah. So when he says additional folks, obviously, as you see, there could be surges in different areas across the country, and they take into account depending on operations that you want to run.
Yeah, I want to zero in on surges here in New York City because originally this was deemed to go after the worst of the worst. Hearing from Mr. Homan, there's going to be the increase in enforcement. Hearing you talk about this as well, what do you determine is worst of the worst?
So basically, it's always been the same throughout ICE and ERO. Throughout my career, which is spanning 33 years now. We focus on public safety threats, the worst of the worst. The problem is, as you see in sanctuary cities, like New York, the individuals and all the criminals are released back into the community without NYPD or Department of Corrections contacting us because of the policies that have been enacted by the prior administration or the city council. So that forces my offices and my staff to go out into the field looking for them. Obviously, as we're out in the field looking for these criminals, we're also encountering other individuals that are illegally present in the United States. Mm-hmm. So those individuals are in violation of immigration law, and they will also be arrested. And
that's not deemed worst of the worst.
So when you're looking for the worst of the worst, that's what we're out doing. If you come across another individual that's with the worst of the worst, sometimes some of these people are conspirators or co-conspirators with them, and we are arresting those individuals. So people say, well, if they're here and their only crime is being here illegal, why are you going after them? Well, number one, they're here illegally, and that's against the law. That's the INA, the Immigration Nationalization Act. And number two is the other side to that is So what you're saying, if they're only here illegally, we have to wait till they commit a crime to arrest them.
Well, that's just assuming that they're going to commit a crime. But folks let me just, because you're talking about this, let me go to the incidents that are happening at courthouses. People who are here illegally but are trying to get their natural pathway to citizenship. Should they be targeted in a courthouse while they're trying to do the right thing?
So each one of those is a case-by-case basis. Obviously, we focus on those that have violated their status because of prior an arrest after their release. The problem is during the Biden administration, he let in close to 15 million people under a program that was ineligible for that with the parole. So we are backtracking and trying to find all these individuals now. And obviously, if we know individuals are attending a court proceeding, we're going to execute the arrest there.
You know, a lot of people are looking at whether or not the surge might be because of a new mayor-elect who is coming in, Zohran Mamdani. I spoke to him this week. He said, yes, we have sanctuary city status. We're going to maintain that as well as welcome immigrants. I want you to listen to what he had to say.
Sure.
If she is tipped off like she was, what do you want her to do?
I want her to ensure that no officers are assisting with the actions of ICE.
So I was talking about the police commissioner who's remained on staying on here. What is your response to that they will not coordinate?
Well, look, the public safety works best when law enforcement is coordinating and collaborating with each other. I understand the sanctuary policies are in place. We don't need their assistance to go out and affect our arrest. We only need their assistance when there's an individual that the NYPD has arrested or is in custody of Department of Corrections to contact us before they release them. They're criminals.
I want to talk about a couple of things that have played out in recent weeks, right? One of them being in Lower Manhattan, and it looked like a militarized scene on the streets of Canal Street to go after these illegal street vendors, right? Masked agents in these tank-like vehicles, right? First, what we're looking at is Washington Heights here. So let me start there, because there's an incident in Washington Heights where a man was pulled out of his car. The local city council member said that a 911 call was placed by NYPD officers. They showed up. The NYPD officers didn't know they were ICE agents because they were masked, not in identifiable clothing, and those officers ended up in the hospital. What do you say to that?
So I think that's two different stories you're talking about, but I'll go back and answer the question on the individual in the Heights.
Yeah, let me start there.
That individual, and this is why one of the reasons I did come back out of retirement is to dispel these rumors, because I'm disgusted with the way the media is portraying us without getting the facts.
Okay.
So in this case, this individual was arrested up in the Heights, further up, and was being transported back to the office. As the officers were driving him back, he tried to escape from the vehicle by breaking and going through the window. So the backup vehicle came out and ensured the subject did not escape by pushing him back in. So the fact is that the media is saying that we try to rip him out of the vehicle to make the arrest just goes to show you that the media, the activists, the politicians are running with any story that is demonizing the work that we're doing, that we're empowered to do by Congress, and it's causing the assaults of my officers and across the nation.
What happened to those two NYPD officers?
That's a totally different story.
What happened there?
That one was when we were, an individual ran on us.
Yeah.
So we arrested the individual, and NYPD was in the area, and they just assisted with the arrest. So
How did they end up in the hospital?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, because what they were reporting, the reporting from Gothamist was that the NYPD got into a scuffle with the ICE agents who wouldn't identify themselves.
That's incorrect.
Okay, what do you say, though, overall, to the fact that there are these ICE agents who are masked, sometimes not in identifiable clothing? There's legislation that are trying to push forward now to get them to not wear masks. Should they be masked in these operations?
Well, look, a traditional law enforcement agency obviously doesn't wear masks. The problem is you have not only politicians, you have high-ranking members in cities and states, you have NGOs, you have activists, and all their sole focus is to dox these individuals, put their information online and go after their families. Besides the assaults, the doxing and death threats against ICE officers is up 8,000%. What other law enforcement agency has people shoving cameras in their faces, cursing at them, trying to ram them with vehicles when they're doing their job? This is a job we're doing. So if the mask provides them the stability and the peace of mind of not having their family doxed or threatened.
But they're also plain clothed.
Correct. But they also have their vests on that are clearly marked with police, and they have badges. So This is an issue that I know some of the states want to raise.
Yeah.
But if you put yourself in the shoes of my staff that is just doing the job that they have been told to do, that has been empowered and has been backed by Congress, and we are following the law, this whole rhetoric that's being pushed is really demonizing the staff.
I know you're mentioning the media, which is why you're here, and I'm glad we're having the conversation.
Absolutely.
I know you're answering some tough questions here, but on the militarization of what we kind of saw play out in Lower Manhattan, people are wondering, yes, you have a job to do, but is that level of force necessary?
Well, obviously, each operation is case-by-case basis. It was an intelligence-driven operation, that one, and we had a lot of intelligence that the people that we were going after, the criminals, had some serious criminal background. And, you know, there was many of them, and they're known in the past through encounters with NYPD or even with ourselves to be very assaultive and combative. So that's the way you plan for an operation like that.
Okay, you're going to stick around because I want to get a couple more questions with you on our Pix Plus platform, but I appreciate you being here once again for this conversation. Okay?
Absolutely. I'm glad to come. I want to educate the public and explain to them the important work that we're doing and dispel the rumors that are out there.
And more with Mr. Ginello on Pix Plus. Everybody stay tuned for that. But still to come, NYPD Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch agreeing to stay on during the Mamdani administration. The two honest about where they differ, but vowed to work towards the common goals for New York City. So next, part of my exclusive interview with the mayor-elect, the first sit-down since that big announcement of Jessica Tisch. Picks on Politics back in just 2 minutes. Hey, Mr. Ginello, I appreciate you being here on Pix Plus to talk about a couple more important topics here. A lot of questions about when people are detained, when they're taken, say, out of 26 federal courthouse or wherever it may be. Where do they go before they are maybe deported?
Well, first of all, another rumor I want to dispel is everyone has due process. You get this thing out there, no one gets due process. They're just grabbing people without warrants. First of all, ICE does targeted enforcement operations. Every individual that's arrested goes through due process. They have the right to a hearing in front of an immigration judge. They have the right to obtain lawyers unless they've already been ordered removed by a judge and they have an order of removal. Obviously, we will affect that arrest. As far as where do they go, ICE manages their detention on a national level. So wherever we have available space, that's where we put the ICE detainees, no matter where the arrests are. We try to keep them local, but obviously if this bed space availability is full, we have to look nationwide.
But because 26 Federal Plaza was ruled, it needed some revamping, needs some work done. What's being used in the meantime?
Well, we're still using 26, but we are following the preliminary injunction, the amount of people that we can keep in the hold room that's in the building. So we have a plan in place that we move them out and we move them to different facilities so they are not in that area, you know, more than the 12 hours that they're not supposed to be there.
You know, I'm listening to you carefully throughout this whole conversation, and there's a conversation I've had with many New Yorkers who are saying, what about someone who is just afraid now to be on the streets, right? They know they're here illegally, but they do pay taxes, they have a job, they send their kids to school, and they're now afraid to go outside simply because they're afraid they may be rounded up as you go after somebody who is deemed worst of the worst. What is your advice to that individual?
Well, I mean, truthfully, if you are here illegally, you are in violation of immigration law, and you can be arrested by ICE. And in the past, like I said, due to our limited resources, we always focus on the worst of the worst. Obviously, now we do not have limited resources. We have an abundance of resources. We're still out looking for the worst of the worst due to the sanctuary policies that just release them back into the community. But if you're an individual that we encounter during these operations and you're here illegally, you will be arrested too.
No, I understand, but the further conversation is they know that, and they're now trying to get that pathway to citizenship. They're going to the courthouse. They're trying to do the right thing. Should they be afforded the opportunity to do so without living in fear?
Yeah, the majority of it's a very small percentage of the arrests at the courthouses. I'm talking about individuals that we encounter in the country that are either known gotaways or have re-entered the United States again. But the courthouse arrest, the majority of that is a very low percentage.
No, I know, but I'm hearing you in terms of somebody who wants to do the right thing. You're saying, well, if they're here illegally, they're in violation. What should they do?
I mean, they're doing exactly what they have to try and become legal, I get you. The problem is, like I stated, the last administration let in 15 million people, the majority of them unvetted. So now we have to go through the process of trying to find all of these individuals And like I said, even though they're in the process of going to court, the avenue.
Do you need to find all of them or just the worst of the worst?
Well, right now, we're looking for the worst of the worst, but individuals that are here illegally that came in the last administration, that's 15 million of them, you can't just overlook that fact.
Yeah. And overall, just in terms of the operations, and to go back to the mayor-elect Mamdani, do you anticipate more resources, more surges or raids before he takes office, say in December, or after he takes office on January 1?
I mean, operations go on as we always planned. There's no one is going to dictate operations.
Right, what I'm trying to get at is on January 1st, when he's sworn in, is there going to be is there directive a surge of resources to New York City because he's now the mayor?
No, right now the operations are status quo as we always been doing. I mean, we follow our pattern. We've been out every day. The men and women of ICE are out there, especially New York City, not only obviously in the 5 boroughs, but in Long Island and out in the 7 lower counties of the Hudson Valley region. So we're out every day. So operations will be continuing every day, and ICE will be out in the community, unfortunately, with a heavy presence because we can't pick up the individuals after they're arrested from
Are you
NYPD.
looking at specific areas when you say they're out in the communities? Is there specific areas you're looking at?
The 5 boroughs of New York, Long Island, and the 7 lower counties of
Wow,
the
you
Hudson
just covered it all.
Yes.
Okay, so everywhere. Mr. Janello, I appreciate your time as
No,
always.
thank
Come on
you,
back
Dan.
soon, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.